Fellas, we are going to start it off talking about definitely a very controversial subject right now. There is a lot of discussion happening, not just in the Black community, but in the world about this. And it is the release of Bill Cosby. So for those of you who have not heard, Bill Cosby has been released from prison. Here at The Good, the Bad, and the Truth, we most certainly do not shy away from talking about difficult subjects. But again, just want to remind you all that these views are individual and do not indicate that we in any way condone any kind of inappropriate culture, rape or otherwise. And our official question on the matter is, since Bill Cosby has been released from prison, does that mean he is still guilty of what he was accused of? So that's actually a very interesting question. And fellas, I'm going to go ahead and start us off on this one, because the specific question of is he guilty of what he was accused of is tricky, in my opinion. And I'm going to tell you why. I personally, from a legal standpoint, do not know that there has been enough evidence to suggest that Bill Cosby is actually guilty of rape. People keep mentioning that Bill Cosby admitted to it. Bill Cosby did not admit to rape. Bill Cosby admitted to purchasing Quaaludes and distributing them. That is an important factor that people need to keep in mind. People keep saying, dude admitted to it. Dude said he didn't. He did not say he committed rape. He said he purchased Quaaludes and he distributed them. Quaaludes were obviously an illegal drug back in the time he purchased it. He has admitted to being guilty to that. That does not necessarily translate to rape. And in my opinion, unfortunately, because of how long ago these accusations occurred, there is not any concrete evidence towards the rape portion of it itself. Yes, he did say he's guilty of purchasing Quaaludes and distributing them, but that doesn't mean he forcefully did that. The position has been that these women asked for them. It is my understanding that that scene back in that time was a very big scene of partying. A lot of these women admitted to taking not just the Quaaludes, but other drugs as well, drinking and etc. So again, I am not saying that he is 100% innocent. I am saying that in my opinion, there needs to be an overwhelming amount of evidence. For example, the term beyond a reasonable doubt is used in law for a reason. You are talking about putting someone away for a crime. You need to be able to efficiently provide evidence that shows that person is guilty of that. The onus always lies on the prosecution to prove without a reasonable doubt that person is guilty of that.
Exactly.
In my opinion, that did not happen in this case. And furthermore, his ruling was overturned and he was released because there was an agreement between himself and the prosecution for the case he was actually found guilty of that says that he would not be brought up on charges. The prosecutor violated that agreement. You cannot do that. In fact, the specific terminology used in the article states, in its opinion, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court said a non-prosecution agreement with a former prosecutor prevented Cosby from facing charges. In other words, they said to him, you come and talk to us about this situation, that situation, this, you admit purchasing the Quaaludes and etc., and you will not be prosecuted. But then turned around and said, we're not prosecuting you for purchasing the Quaaludes. We're prosecuting you for the rape. But that is almost like a form of what is that called? Entrapment, right? Because he did not admit to committing rape. He admitted to purchasing the Quaaludes. Furthermore, and I'm just going to throw this out here, there have been talks and discussions that Bill Cosby, along with other partners, were in the process of attempting to purchase a major media conglomerate. It's the timing of everything is just a little interesting to me. And let me make clear, I am not saying that rape victims in any way should just have to live with anything that happened to them because it happened years ago. Unfortunately, as a victim myself, I understand what it means to go through that. But what I am saying is that in this particular case, with this particular situation, and this particular woman and the way the prosecution handled themselves and what Bill Cosby admitted to, the right thing from a legal standpoint occurred here. And so if the question is, because he was released, does that mean he is still guilty of what he is accused of? In this particular situation, he was charged with rape, even though his admittance was to purchasing Quaaludes. Therefore, he is not guilty of this charge. That is not what he admitted to. That is not, the prosecution did not approach this situation properly. Again, I want to make clear, not condoning rape culture in any way. And furthermore, I hope that rape victims across the world always have the courage to come forward and speak up and tell your truth, because there is no time limit on telling your truth. And I want to make clear that that is not the point that I'm getting at here. But the point that I am getting at is that the law was followed. And unfortunately, the prosecution in this case did not adhere to an agreement that was a legal binding agreement. And those are my thoughts on the matter. I am going to go ahead and toss this to E-Man. What say you, sir?
Okay. So, E-Man's, it feels good being back on the mic. So, but before I start, right, when you look back, in the 50s, 60s, and 70s when they were party, I'm gonna just be blatantly honest. But taking Quaaludes is like drinking water back in the day and whatnot. And those who took cocaine and whatnot, that was like you drinking like soda pop, basically, because that was the drug that they used to party with. And to really be honest, and looking back at a lot of things that happened in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and those who I met and whatnot, yeah, nobody was stopping people, taking cocaine. Like nobody was, just to, put it out there. So it was a huge drug slash, I don't even want to say rape culture, but it was a big drug culture back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, I'm just putting that out there first before I say anything. Now, so the whole bill thing, I've been researching when this happened, back down in 2017, and when it officially hit, around 2018ish, I would say my mind was, kind of on blur, because when I first went back into, back researching on the whole Bill Cosby thing, I had non-guilty and whatnot. And then moving now forward into 2020, people presenting them with, a little bit more information had me kind of like overthinking what I was researching. So, me, I had to go back researching, looking back at everything, taking my time. And I was very thankful that, Young Pharaoh had this video up towards the same stuff that I was researching. And, it brought a little bit more clarity back, into my mind yet again. And my verdict, I still got Bill Cosby, as being, non-guilty from, what was going on. To really be honest, I did live in PA for 4.5 years. I know how pretty crooked, the justice system is there. And I'm gonna just share a little story with everyone. So I was literally, I went to school there, and literally I drove to the mall, and I basically just parked my car there, like on the side street, because I was waiting for my cousin to get out from the store because she worked there at the time, and I had my hazards on. This wasn't even a police officer. This was like security, I'm not even doing anything. He walked up to my car and he banged on my window like I was some type of criminal and whatnot. And I asked him, I was like, yo, why are you banging on the window so hard? And he was like, he asked me what I was doing. And I told him I'm waiting for my cousin out the store. Dude literally said these words to me. He was like, look, I'm going to get you for loitering. I'm going to call the police on you. I'm just like, for what? I'm not even doing nothing. I'm not even bothering nobody. He's bothering me, So I'm sitting over here like, damn. Like, I didn't know it can get that crazy. So I kind of feel, how Bill felt, in his situation, going down, dealing with the same crooked people that would do some crooked things to you, And based upon, the whole prosecutor, the former prosecutor, whatnot, like I said, they did the same crooked thing, and they're going to still continue that vicious cycle and whatnot, because you can't, if just when you look at the law and whatnot, you got to make sure that, this person has committed a crime, based upon law, y'all can't even say this man even committed a crime. You guys just put something out there, because based upon when I look at law, they got like 4 to 5 different degrees of rape and whatnot. Like, it's like rape has so many different degrees to it. It's crazy. And if you do rape somebody, depending on what it is, especially if you do it with a kid, you're registered as a sex offender. When you do it as an adult and whatnot, it gets a whole lot more dicey and worse and whatnot, because the degrees is what puts you in jail, depending on how many years is statutory based upon that state. And it seems that the state of Pennsylvania couldn't even do that. So if they couldn't even do that, we're all sitting here like, so why was a man sitting here in 2 years and y'all couldn't even convict him with anything? But suppose y'all said you convict him of rape, but that didn't happen. So he just got out of jail, a few weeks ago, or I think it's been like a few weeks or a month. I haven't kept count, but it's just very crazy how this justice system keeps putting the wrong people in jail, but never the right ones. Never at all. Like, it was very hard, because when we look at Bill Cosby, I think of Cliff Huxtable and whatnot, from the Cosby Show, he did definitely do Fat Albert, but Lil Bill was by far one of the dopest cartoons in the world, by far and whatnot. And for a man to have children eat pudding out from his ears, for goodness sakes, nothing, I kid nobody, nothing from that degree could tell you, like the man Bill was on top, because everyone loved Bill Cosby. It was not hard to hate that man, because the way how he educated a lot of indigenous and black folks, but he also kept a lot of them in his corners and whatnot, all of them. And it was just crazy hearing stories that didn't even make sense. That's why I couldn't buy it, And just to end my thought, I'm very, very extremely happy, Bill, is out of jail and whatnot, because depending on what I heard, and a few people, coming from supposedly, I think when Bill was in jail, I think Umar did a live and whatnot, and he told me, Bill was having struggles in jail because he couldn't, he couldn't even take a piss and whatnot, that he needed help, that he couldn't even walk. So I don't know how bad they treated him in jail, but the way he came out, he was over there dancing and moving and whatnot. He looked like a whole new person, to be honest. So I'm just saying, no one's not. I would say the easiest way to say this, you know, is rape culture a thing? Yes. You know, have people been raped? Yes. But nobody in the state of Pennsylvania couldn't even convict a man of rape because they couldn't even put it towards the level of degree that they consider it as law. Because if anybody is still, I would say, very disappointed or mad that Bill Cosby is out, I'm gonna just tell you, just get over it and go pick up a law book and know what law is and whatnot. Because I'm gonna ride Bill to 110% until I know, until I know that he's been convicted of some type of crime and no crime has been committed. Yeah. Like we talking about a man buying, Quaaludes and whatnot. You can go to the store and purchase almost anything off the shelf if you have money for it and whatnot. But back then, Quaaludes is basically like you getting a bottle of water, basically. It was that accessible.
Yeah, but it definitely was illegal. You know what I mean? It definitely was.
I would tell everybody like this:
when you couldn't purchase it on the counter.
You can call any drug in the 50s, 60s, and 70s illegal. But I tell everybody like this: based upon the stories I heard, a lot of old heads I've been around and whatnot, man, the police officer wasn't going to do a damn thing because they were doing it too and whatnot. Like that's how bad it was. Like the whole drug culture in the 50s, 60s, and 70s was really that deep, where you had officers doing it and whatnot, So I get it. Everyone can say it's illegal, just like everyone says cocaine's still illegal, but there's still people still on that crack pipe. And I'm not trying to say and putting people's business out there, but all I'm just saying is, we I'm so out of breath, but all I'm the way I just want to end it is that we need to stop the blame game. That's what it is and whatnot. Because I already know that Bill wanted to, purchase NBC. I already knew that, But once he wanted to purchase that, that's when shit went all downhill. So I knew they were definitely, trying to destroy his character. I already knew that already. But, just the names and the stories that kept coming, I was like, man, it seems like it was like this whole Bill Cosby sweepstakes and be like, oh man, who's going to be this next person to like drop a story, be like, oh yeah, Bill raped me and all that stuff, That's what really bothered me, because there's people out here who have been abused and whatnot, and molested, I'm a victim and whatnot. So when I see stuff like that, it bothers me a lot. Like it really does, And I just want to end it from there, that we need to stop all these fake, blames of victims, and respect those who've been going through a whole lot of this. Because to me, I find it very disrespectful, if you're willing to put a story out there knowing it's false, because there's people out there who are really hurting behind this stuff, and some of them don't know how to, seek help. And it's, to me, just bothers. That's what bothers me a lot, But I tell everyone, Bill didn't do it. I'm riding high for Bill, 110, and that's how I'm ending my thoughts.
Yes, sir. I definitely just want to piggyback on again. We are in no way intending to say if someone has experienced this that they should not speak up, because they absolutely should speak up and come forward and tell their story. Victims do not have to live in shame. It is their victimizer who should live in shame, not them. But I do want to say that I do agree with you that if someone is falsifying a story of rape, that is horrible. It is not only horrible for the person that they're accusing, but it is horrible for actual victims, because it is already a very difficult thing to speak up about emotionally, physically. Victims think about how it's going to change their lives, how it's going to change the lives of people around them. So someone falsifying something so serious is sick. I do want to say that I agree with you from that aspect. Not saying that every everyone who's spoken up against Cosby is or isn't a victim. But to your point of anyone who would falsify anything of the sort, I definitely agree with you that that in itself is absolutely sickening. Thank you for your thoughts, sir. Mr. PAT, we're going to throw it to you to wrap us up. What say you, sir?
All right, so I look at this in two ways. Really, it's two questions for me. So there was the first one, and then the other question for me is basically, what does Bill Cosby's release from prison actually mean to the Black community? And that was a question that came up for me based on all the activity that I've seen online. You know, seeing people's comments, people's opinions, people's viewpoints, just seeing the different sides, seeing the black and the white, and then the gray, because this is something that's not really just black and white. There's a lot of gray area with something of this nature. So that was one of the questions for me. And I mean, to really answer both and to just speak my piece, I mean, I will say that I can't say that Bill Cosby is guilty. The thing is, I don't know him personally, and I wasn't around to see what exactly he did with his accusers. Now, I in no way, shape, form, or fashion condone rape. Obviously, rape is a serious crime. And when victims do come forward, we need to listen. We need to take what is being said seriously. That, I believe, 150%. We need to take that seriously. However, in order to convict the person being accused of whether it's rape, sexual assault, or anything along those lines, there has to be evidence. There has to be proof to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that a crime was committed. The thing is, we can't go on hearsay. We just can't, because then, unfortunately, there are people who make false accusations, and there are people in jail, people in prison for being accused of something, being accused of crimes that they didn't even commit. So we can't go on hearsay. That is dangerous. We can't just go by hearsay. We have to see what the evidence is, and we have to see the proof. Again, beyond a reasonable doubt. That's just how the law works. So there has been no evidence to show that Bill Cosby harmed the women that have accused them of the crimes they have accused them of. He admitted to providing these women drugs. And I mean, that was really it. The thing is, he has maintained that everything that has taken place between him and any woman he has been involved with was consensual. He has always maintained that part, at least. He admitted to giving the drugs, but he has maintained that everything has been consensual. These women knew what he was giving to them. And I mean, that was pretty much it. Any kind of sexual encounter or anything, it was consensual. He has maintained that throughout. Now, as far as the second question that I have, that I'm going to answer, is, I can't speak for the Black community as a whole, but I can say that, I have seen and heard a lot of what Black people in general have said. I've seen all kinds of opinions and viewpoints. Like I said before, I've seen both sides, and I've seen the middle. Now, for me, I'm not pro Bill Cosby, because I didn't like nor dislike him prior to all the controversy. I've pretty much always had a neutral outlook towards him for the most part. I mean, Yeah,
Totally
even
agree.
right. I mean, even back in the day when the sitcoms were big, back in the 90s, because we're all 80s babies here, and we were kids in the 90s, and sitcoms were really big. The Cosby Show wasn't even like in my top 10, to be honest with you.
Sir, preach.
I mean,
That shit was
so
boring to me a little bit.
yeah, exactly.
Damn,
Like it
not
just
even
wasn't in
top
there.
10?
No, it
Man,
wasn't in my top 10. But here's the
my
thing, though.
man ate pudding. Children were eating pudding from this man's ear. It don't get no wild than that. Who eats? I don't care. If you look at commercial, who child would you pay 50 to 70K to go eat pudding out of a man's ear? I
Wow,
don't get it.
that's yeah, that's a bit much.
That's wild. I don't.
Yeah, that's a bit much, but yeah, wow, they pudding from his ear.
Yep, that was in the commercial. Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
I missed that commercial, and I mean, I'm
Me
glad.
too.
Go find it on
That
YouTube.
makes me
My
want to
man,
look for that
children were eating
commercial because I
pudding out
missed
of that man's
one.
ear.
Well, I'm glad
Oh
I
my
missed it. I'm glad I missed it, but
man.
but yeah, so yeah, he's not somebody that I really even paid a whole lot of attention to. Like, I could say that the Cosby Show obviously is a groundbreaking show, and I can appreciate the imagery that it came with, showing the Black family. That I appreciate, and I mean it was very much needed. It was very much needed. So I do see the significance in the Cosby Show, but I'm just saying it's not something that was like in my top sitcoms. I never followed dude like that. So
I need
I'm
to hear your
neutral.
top 10 after this. I definitely need to hear this one.
So yeah, we'll probably talk about sitcoms, in another episode. But yeah, so it what the Cosby Show wasn't in there. So there's that. So yeah, I've pretty much just been neutral. Like I'm not pro Bill Cosby, but I'm not anti Bill Cosby. So, when it comes to the allegations that came up, honestly, I didn't know what to think. Because the thing is, I have read some of the stories. And I mean, I've looked into this deeper. I've done the research. I think when the allegations are made, again, we do need to listen to victims. We do need to take what they say seriously, and we need to listen, and we need to respond accordingly. My take is that I just never really had any definitive thoughts on Cosby and the whole fiasco. I mean, it's hard for me to have a definitive take because, again, I don't know Bill Cosby personally, and I wasn't there when these incidents occurred. Just like everyone else, I'm a spectator. At the end of the day, all I can do as an outsider is taking the information presented and just have an outlook based on that. Now, since the allegations against Cosby had to do with victimizing women, it most certainly is an issue that gets a lot of people triggered, for lack of a better term, and rightfully so, because there are women out here in the real world who have been victims of rape, sexual assault, etc. Unfortunately, it's one of the ills of society where, yeah, some men abuse their power and victimize women in the process. So from that aspect, I totally understand why some people feel the way they feel about Bill Cosby. I understand why some people might feel hate and vitriol against someone like him, because hearing all of the allegations and accusations that have been made against him can be upsetting. It can be upsetting. However, I do think with a case like this, there has to be objectivity. There just has to be some objectivity. When things like the law come into play, we have to remember that people are innocent until proven guilty. In a court of law,
That part.
yeah, in a court of law, people have to be proven guilty. There has to be proof and evidence in order to convict someone. Contrary to what a lot of people have been saying, Bill Cosby has not admitted to raping anyone. I don't know why there's people out there who keep saying that, but
Right.
that is not what he admitted to.
Exactly.
And it's just crazy when I see some of this stuff, because it's like people just kind of take something that they heard, or even if they read something, and this is where reading comprehension comes into play. But, people just kind of take people take the information and then they just twist it up.
Yeah,
and
they run with their narrative. They twist it to fit their narrative. The subject, and I'm sorry, Pat, I didn't mean to interrupt you. You're actually spot on with everything you're saying, because the subject of rape is so touchy that when people hear it, they become emotionally involved, right? They want to make sure that they are not in any way further victimizing the victim. So it's like 90% of the time, when actually I would even venture to say 95 or 99% of the time, when someone makes that accusation, they immediately believe the person that is the accuser, right? The person who's saying that it happened to them.
Right.
And unfortunately, that is a problem, because for victims who are actual victims of rape, it is difficult to feel the comfortability to come forward. And then you have people who have just made up the story because they had an issue with the person. Example, I forget what his name was, but it was a Black guy. I want to say 5 or 10 years ago, lost his whole life, his football scholarship and everything. The girl came back out later.
Oh, you're talking about Tony Banks?
Yeah, Tony Banks admitted she made it all up, ruined and destroyed that man's life. I mean, people have to accept that there are incidents where people make this stuff up. And we're not saying that that's what happened in the Bill Cosby case, but you hit the nail on the head with one of your points, that the law exist for a reason. It's what you said, it's what I said in the beginning. The prosecutor is responsible for proving beyond a reasonable doubt that the person, the crime that the person is being accused of, they have committed. No one has been able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt Bill Cosby raped anyone.
Right.
That's just what the situation is. People are taking him admitting to buying Quaaludes and distributing them as admitting to rape. He did not do that. Stop saying that. If you're saying that, you are actually committing defamation. You can't say that, because that's not what that man did.
Right. Exactly.
I agree.
Yeah.
But sorry to cut you off, PAT. But before you continue, all I just wanted to say was that we need to make sure, for all those who can't comprehend, go listen to Reading Rainbow. That's all I'm saying. If you can't comprehend, go listen to Reading Rainbow. Man, man, it's a damn shame towards adults. It's not even the simple fact that many can't read. It's a simple fact that y'all not even comprehending. Y'all just want to hear everything. Reading Rainbow. I'm giving you guys the blueprint. If you can go on YouTube, just hide yourself from everyone else, go in your corner, go type in YouTube, Reading Rainbow, and get it back together. Because some of y'all do need to learn how to comprehend. I'm sorry.
Wow. Sorry, Pat.
This is funny.
We done veered way off your end.
It's all good. What everybody said is true. I mean, and what E-Man just said is true. I mean, and it might sound like we're taking a dig at people or whatever, but the thing is, I mean, it was mentioned before, there's an emotions that come into it, and I do understand that part. I do understand the emotional aspect of this whole thing, because anything along the lines of rape, sexual assault, sexual harassment, anything along those lines, it's serious. And these are things that happen to women on a daily basis, unfortunately. So, when a case comes up like this, of course, some people, even if they read what was exactly said or what was exactly put out there, they're still going to take it and flip it and create their own narrative. And sometimes it could be based on their own experience. A lot of times it could be, you know, somebody projecting. And I mean, that happens, you know, so I do understand that component of it, but we have to make it clear that Bill Cosby did not admit to raping anyone. And I've read the deposition. I read the documents. Like I read what was said. I read the exchange, and there was nowhere in that exchange where he admitting to raping anyone. So to me, it's just ludicrous when people even say stuff like that. But it's the online world. People just say whatever the fuck they want to say. You know, okay, but you know, it's not the facts. You know, it's one thing to have your opinion, but you can't make your opinion facts. Like you can't do that. So with Cosby, he has maintained his innocence throughout the whole case. But like I said before, it's one thing to feel the way that you feel about him. And even if it's a thing where you want to believe that he actually did commit the crimes that he was accused of, I mean, that's fine. If you know, any individual out there wants to believe that, hey, I'm not gonna say anything against that, because we're all entitled to feel how we feel and have an opinion on what might have occurred. But you know, it's another thing to assert your opinion as a fact, and then it's another thing to try to shame others who don't quite see things in the way that you do. But to answer the question more directly, in regards to what Bill Cosby's prison release means to the Black community, I mean, really, it means that a Black man was somehow able to win against the system. That's really what it means. We also have to keep in mind that we live in a system that demonizes Black people. We live in a system that has failed Black people. We live in a system built and based on Black failure. I mean, for real, we have to keep in mind that throughout history, Black men have been punished simply based on false accusations. Black men were lynched based on false accusations. We all know about Emmett Till being murdered based on a lie that was told on him. We all know this already. It's safe to assume that everybody is aware of Emmett Till and his story. But to get back to Cosby, what I will say is that whether it's Bill Cosby, R. Kelly, or whichever Black celebrity, I understand that an attack on them is really an attack on Black men as a whole. And to take it a step further, it's really an attack on heterosexual Black men as a whole. Bill Cosby is really a proxy for Black men. Making Bill Cosby the face of rape culture is basically giving rape culture a Black face. In order for society to continuously see Black men as public enemy number one, society has to be trained to see Black men as predators. This is one of the reasons that the term super predator was extremely dangerous. When Joe Biden called Black men predators, and when Hillary Clinton called Black men super predators, that was a way for them to fearmonger.
Wait, I have a quick question. They literally said Black men are super predators and are predators?
Yep, they did.
Whoa.
Oh yeah. Biden called Black men predators. He was basically like, we got to get these predators off the streets.
But did he say we have to get Black men off the streets because they are predators?
I mean, he didn't frame it like that. Of course, you know.
He's not going to frame it like
right,
that.
he's not going to frame it like that.
That's what I was asking, because sometimes people are that bold, right? We know that Trump has said actual stuff against, Hispanic Americans and etc.
Right.
And so sometimes they are that bold. That's why I was asking, did these people actually say black men are predators or etc.? Look at the stuff that we found out Hunter Biden said. That's why I'm asking.
No doubt. And I mean, I feel you, but yeah, I mean, of course they don't explicitly say all black men are predators, but if you listen to what they say, and if you listen to the context, they're talking about black men. They're talking about black.
It's not
boys.
even that hard. It's really not. But sorry to cut you off, PAT.
You
but it's really not that hard and whatnot. I mean, we all know Hillary Clinton's a hoe. She's a political hoe, because I gotta say the word political when it comes to him. So yeah, she a political hoe. You know what I'm saying? And Mr. Uncle Joe.
Uncle
Joe. I can't call him a hoe and whatnot, but I can call him an asshole. So that sounds a lot better to me. But they try to sit here and frame it. Joe was the same person that went on the Breakfast Club. You ain't black enough if you don't vote for me. So I told Uncle Joe to kiss my black ass. And
we've established that. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. Racist, anything he said in the past, like you just put more fuel to the fire and whatnot. And then your political hoe over there, she over there, she your hype man. So she over there saying, "Go Joe, go," and whatnot. So
right.
It shouldn't shock. They just like to reframe shit and say it in a very political term and whatnot.
Yeah,
because we don't. Yeah, because we won't never understand that. But I'm gonna let you finish. PAT.
And I'm gonna wrap it up. But yeah, definitely. So because Biden, I mean, he was in the Senate talking tough, and he was talking about black men. I mean, let's just be real. He's talking about black people because of course, when the crime bill was in its process or whatever, I mean, he was talking about predators, and he was talking about black people. If you just see it for what it is,
he said he wrote it himself too. He drafted it up too. So yeah,
right. So basically, when somebody like him or like Hillary Clinton or whoever says, that black men are super predators, that's basically a way to fearmonger. You're fearmongering. And when racist people bring up black on black, quote unquote, black on black crime, really what they're saying is they associate criminality with black people. They associate criminality with black men. So to wrap it up, Bill Cosby's conviction being overturned and being released from prison at the very least shows that on the law side of things, a black man could overcome. Really, this is just a victory for Bill Cosby as an individual, not the black community as a whole. In regards to the black community, I would say that we do need to keep in mind that we are in the middle of a race war, and something as polarizing as this whole Bill Cosby case can be divisive. Right now, divisiveness is not what black men and black women need. We need all hands on deck to confront the race war that we are currently in. We have to realize that whether it's Bill Cosby, Derek Chauvin, or whatever hot button issue is in the media, it's really just a psyops. And when I say psyops, I'm talking psychological operations. It's a form of energy entrapment. So I would say to the black community, I would say to black people, if we want to move forward as a people, I mean, we just have to stay focused. And this whole Bill Cosby case kind of derails that. And we have to see it for what it is. And we just got to get back on our square and get focused. So that's all I have to say to that.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. So great stuff, guys.